Hey guys, so we are running some errands, going to the dump, doing a run, hauling off stuff that, you know, trash service doesn't pick up, things like that. And then we've got to go to Walmart because I need to grab a couple things there, and you know, we're dressed in work clothes, you know, muck boots, all that stuff. And Mr. Smith goes, so we're going to the dump, and then we're gonna go to Walmart dressed like Walmart people. I'm fixing to do an experiment. I just mixed up some natural fire ant killer, and from everything I understand, this is supposed to work wonderfully. It's totally organic, completely natural, but totally deadly to fire ants. So we just mixed it up, and I'm gonna go spray one of my raised beds, which has turned into a giant fire ant mound, and hopefully it takes care of it. So this raised bed right here, basically you touch the soil anywhere on this half of it and you're going to immediately have fire ants all over you. And so hopefully this does the job as advertised.
Well, that'll be our test.
Hey guys, so I'm just wrapping up chores and I want to show you a couple of things. The torch flowers are blooming. These are pretty neat flowers, very exotic looking. The comfrey is flowering. You can see right there. Little purple flowers. This shrub is growing back. I'm going to have to cut that down with a chainsaw, I think, get a nice flat surface, and then salt the stump. The chocolate mint is doing well, of course. One of my purple coneflowers is coming back there, the echinacea. Right back here, we planted some little baby hydrangeas. I got one there and I got one down at the other end of the porch. Lemon balm. I got some more flowers coming back here. I can't remember if this was echinacea or if it was the milkweed flower. I know I had milkweed over here somewhere. I thought it was right here, so who knows. More torch flowers. This cluster right here I'm probably going to have to thin out this winter and space out because they get really thick just like the irises do. Like those right there. I've got to thin those out. And those are my purple ones, I think. I don't know. I don't remember. Anyways, if you get a cluster and it gets too thick, they won't flower. So you have to thin them out periodically. And yeah, otherwise you don't get the flowers. More torch flowers. These actually came from my mother-in-law. Mr. Smith went on a trip up to Tennessee one time and he came home with some of these. She had dug them up and said, "Here you go." And as you can see, they're doing well. Got more lemon balm back there. Another big patch of irises. Those are purple irises back there. And again, they're so thick they're not flowering. I've got a couple little flowers coming up right on the edges, but for the most part, that's really not going to do anything because they're too thick. So I've got to thin those out. Got some yellow irises over here that I had transplanted when I was thinning them out previously. So over here, the cabbage is actually doing very well. The middle one there's got a nice head forming, but I'm fairly certain these are going to bolt because it is getting so warm so quickly. We're going to be in the 80s again today. You can see that head forming down in there. Yeah, this is probably going to just end up being rabbit food because I don't think there's going to be enough time for those heads to form. The purple kale is looking gorgeous. I need to harvest some of this stuff. My rosemary bushes are getting little flowers on them, if you can see that right down in there. It might be a little too bright for you to see it. Now over here in my skinny flower bed, I had someone asking me about this flower right here. Now this is a zinnia, and I was asked specifically what kind it is. It is a Mazurkia zinnia, and as you can see, apparently the spiders like it. But it's a very, very pretty. I love how it even gets color on the leaves. Isn't that neat? My first cosmos have bloomed. Over here I've got, this is another zinnia, but honestly I don't remember what kind. It might be the same. But you know, when you have a cluster of zinnias, the flowers don't always look exactly the same. Alright, so the reason I have this tool in my hand is I want to go check on the raised bed in the big garden. And I want to see if we've gotten any results yet from the fire ant treatment. I really need to be able to use that bed soon. I've got plants I've got to get in the ground. I've got to get them in the dirt. And I've started planting the raised beds because the in-ground garden is still very wet. Mother Nature is just not cooperating. Wet, wet, wet. So here is the bed that was essentially a giant fire ant mound. I mean, there were active fire ants all the way down to here, which is just over half of the bed. So looking in here, the first thing I notice is I don't see fire ants moving anywhere. I'm not seeing any, like anywhere. The second thing that I notice is the mound that, like the big mound that was here on the end. It doesn't look like it's being rebuilt, because usually when you spray it down with water or liquid of some sort, it immediately starts getting rebuilt. I'm just not seeing that kind of activity, so this is very promising. So let's take a peek under the top and see what we got going on here. I'm not seeing anything, you guys. Nothing. I mean, usually the second you touch the dirt, fire ants are just flying out. You guys, I can't believe it. This worked. Holy cow. And that was actually pretty quick. I mean, I just sprayed this last night, and already this morning, there's nothing. Oh my heavens. You guys. This is pretty, this is impressive. All right, so now that I know it works, I need to show you exactly what went into that spray that I used. All right, you guys, so here is the deal with the fire ant killer. First of all, I have to say I am so impressed that this worked. Now, I don't know how long it'll last. I'm sure it's something you'd have to do more than once through the course of the growing season. Down here in the south, fire ants are a major problem. They love raised beds. I mean, if you've got a flower bed, garden bed, anything with elevated soil, you're pretty much instantly going to have fire ants in it. Back when I was building the raised beds out front, when I built that first big long one, you probably saw, actually while I was in the process of building it, I already had a fire ant colony putting down roots in the bed. Before I even had the walls up, that little bit of soil that was in there, there was fire ants all over it. Some of you may have seen the weird moving dirt there. It was fire ants. If you plant a tree, you're gonna have fire ants around them. I mean, they take over everything. Plus, you know, they kind of hurt when they bite. You generally don't even realize you've gotten into a batch of fire ants until you feel yourself getting bit and you look down and they're all over you. One of my beds out there, I've got rhubarb growing, and fire ants have built a mountain of an ant mound around the rhubarb, which is going to kill the rhubarb. The rhubarb won't grow properly. And so now that I know this works, I can mix up a bigger batch. I only mixed up like a half batch last night to test it out. So now I can mix up a full-size batch and go ahead and take care of those ants out there as well. So that said, there's 3 basic ingredients that went into making this. Number 1, orange oil. Orange oil will essentially dissolve the exoskeleton of the ants and kill them. I mean, plain and simple, that's what happens. The second thing is this right here, concentrated carrot juice. So carrot juice is actually a plant food. And the great thing about this, not only is it completely organic, but additionally it has microbes and good things for your soil. If you've ever seen a fire ant mound, you know that they just decimate the soil. It's bad. And so this actually helps repair the soil, and the microbes help break down the dead ants and essentially turn them into good dirt for your plants. So this kills the ants, this repairs the soil that they were in. And then of course you need a medium to put these in, and that's water. Now because this has microbes and things like that in there, you don't really want to use chlorinated water. Ideally you would use well water or some other source of unchlorinated water. If you have a well, great. We don't here. We're on city water. So what I did is I have this big tub that I set up under the side of the barn, right where the rainwater comes down, and I use it to collect rainwater. And so I filled this with rainwater, unchlorinated water, carrot juice, and orange oil. I mixed it up real good, shook it up real good, because this is an oil, so you don't want there to be any separation. So as you're going through spraying, you want to periodically give the tank a shake Now, when I was reading about doing this, when you look at the ant bed, right in the center of the ant bed, you want to really soak it. You want to hold that sprayer there long enough that it almost starts collapsing the ant bed in the middle, because you want this liquid to get all the way down into the middle where the queen of the ant colony is living, because you want to make sure that you can get her if at all possible. So if you can kind of see where the middle of the ant mound is, you want to really concentrate there, and then of course spray the entire area and just soak it down real good. And that's what I did, and it seems to have worked, and I am so relieved, because like I said, fire ants in the south, they're a plague. they're terrible. So to boil this all down, here's the ratio of what I did. Now, I've seen a bunch of different recipes for doing this online, and I just kind of, I don't know, I just looked at the simplest one. I figured start simple and go up from there, and if the simple one works, great. And so that's what I did. So like I said, last night I just started with a half batch, and I say half batch because this sprayer is 2 gallons, and so I just mixed up 1 gallon of it. So depending on the size of your sprayer tank will determine how much of all of this you're going to need. But basically the ratio is, for 1 gallon of unchlorinated water, I added 4 ounces of the concentrated Garrett Juice Plus, and I added 2 ounces of the orange oil. Now, it doesn't really matter what brand of orange oil you use. I mean, if you want to use the little bottles of essential oil, you can, but economically, I think that's a lot of money. A lot of the places where I saw these fire ant concoctions, the recipes all being listed, many of them showed this particular brand, and they had a focus on organic gardening. So I figure if the people who do organic gardening are okay with this brand, then I would be okay with this brand too, because this is a full quart of orange oil, which means it's gonna last me a good while. I'm gonna be able to get a lot of batches out of this. Plus I have a gallon of the Garrett Juice Plus. So using only 4 ounces at a time of this and 2 ounces at a time with this for every gallon, I'm going to get a lot more out of it. So that's it, you guys. I just wanted to share this with you, because if you live someplace with fire ants, you know what kind of a problem they end up being, not only in your garden, but just in your yard in general. And when you have kids or animals or you're gardening, the last thing you want is filling your environment with pesticides. And so having something natural that you can do that's not harmful and is actually beneficial for your soil is just a great added bonus. So I hope that helps all of you. If you give this a try, let me know what your results are. So thanks for watching, you guys.